Hello, and thank you for joining us on Renegade News. My name is S.J. Barajas.
And I'm Beto Hoyos.
Today we'll be covering news from the last week in May. Let's dive in right into our stories. Beto, let them know what we got.
Well, first up, we got, everybody's friend, and I use that term loosely. Bill O'Reilly had a couple things to say about President Obama and about climate change and how that affects our military.
Oh, good old Bill-O.
Yeah, Bill always has something to say. We actually do have a video that we want you guys to check out. I know it's hard for people to watch Fox.
Truly is.
But check this out, all right? Bear with us.
Tonight, President Obama, the military, and climate change. That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. Speaking to the graduating class at the Coast Guard Academy in Connecticut yesterday, President Obama said this.
So I'm here today to say that climate change constitutes a serious threat to global security, an immediate risk to our national security. And make no mistake, it will impact how our military defends our country. Now,
the president believing that events such as the drought in Nigeria, for example, create instability and make it easier for groups like Boko Haram to gain support. If folks don't have enough water or food, they become disenchanted and may turn to harmful groups that promise change. That's what Mr. Obama believes. That theory surprised a lot of military people.
The President of the United States today says, well, it's climate change that we have to worry about. I'm worried about climate change. Do we give a damn about what's happening in the streets of Ramadi?
All right. I think that's enough.
So we see the forces of evil joining up. Old McCain there and O'Reilly.
Good old McCain and O'Reilly.
I don't know what's going on there. And I don't understand how you can ignore something like climate change. This has been happening before we were even around, Seb.
Right. I still remember when we were watching Al Gore in Inconvenient Truth, if you guys are familiar.
Yeah.
The thing that I find very interesting that O'Reilly said, or rather that the president said, is that climate change presents an imminent threat to national and even global security.
Yeah, sure.
And like you were saying, that's obviously very true. We've been aware of it for quite some time, and our dependency on oil really has not helped.
Exactly. And it's not just a United States thing. It's not just an American issue it's affecting, and it's going to keep affecting the entire world.
Right. Something I was mentioning to Beto earlier was if carbon traps heat, can you imagine what would happen if one day, say in Tucson, everybody stopped driving? Just one day. What the temperature would actually be. I would also note that it was very interesting that Bill-O made a comparison between the drought in Nigeria.
That's right. But he did not mention anything going on maybe like in California?
Yes. Very true, like the drought that's going on, or perhaps the oil spill that happened
oil spill off the coast of
just
LA.
recently.
Yeah, about a week ago. Definitely, you can't ignore something like this. I already said it, but maybe climate change might have a lot to do with our own, fingerprints. We kind of started a lot of things. I see we, previous generations, a lot of pollution, point source pollution. A lot of people didn't know.
Yeah, it was just the attitude that was instilled back then, just consume. It was what you'd call, I guess, capitalistic mentality of the 60s, 70s, and 80s of just buy.
But ever since like the Industrial Revolution, people just kind of kept that same mindset. It's all about producing and producing. They never really thought about what effect it would have on us, on our health, on the planet. And, we talk about man-made issues, man-made problems. You talk about fracking, something like that going on across the country.
Yeah, no, Oklahoma, for example.
Man-made earthquakes.
I mean, yes, sure, there were a couple of tremors yearly, very small, but after fracking took hold, they just rose exponentially. I mean, now not only do they have tornadoes, which is terrible, freaking Oklahoma now has earthquakes.
Yeah.
What the heck is wrong, man? All right.
Oklahomans.
Anything else to add, or should we move on?
Yeah, I mean, well, speaking of, on the topic of climate change before we do leave y'all, I've noticed a lot more seismic activity, volcanic activity across the globe. Earthquakes in places we've never really seen them. Eastern Las Vegas recently last week had about a 4.5 on the Richter, and that's never happened. In written history, I think, in recent history.
Right.
Napa Valley, known for its wine, they saw about a 5 on the Richter scale last week, and that's kind of, even though it is in California, you don't really see it up there that much.
Right. I'm sure that most people can also identify just the sound of the San Andreas Faults. It's infamous for just being the fault line where everything happens and comes from.
And I mean, people talk about, oh, the big one and brace yourself. Eventually, it's going to happen, you guys. And if you're out in California, if you love going over there, just, I don't know, take precautions because it's not far away from the truth. You know, it's not just a science fiction movie. It's not just The Rock on the big screen, you know.
That's what I was going to say. What do you call Dwayne Johnson falling from a hill?
Say it. I don't know.
Rock slide.
Moving on.
All right.
What else we got, man?
All right. So if you guys have been keeping up with the news, Bernie Sanders, the independent from Vermont, the senator, progressive, you know, another top voice in the House along with Elizabeth Warren. Yeah. He's running for president, announced his presidency. Didn't you tell me earlier that he's starting his campaign today?
Yeah, he's starting his campaign today.
Well, he already announced it, granted, but...
In Burlington, Vermont. He's kicking it off today, or he did kick it off today, this evening Vermont time. So, you know, Bernie Sanders is off and running. We're doing this, guys. He's you mentioned Elizabeth Warren, another progressive thinker. She was not interested in running, you know, for the presidential seat, but Elizabeth Warren's supporters could very well jump on board with, you know, Bernie Sanders.
Right. There was just... Bernie Sanders is a great candidate, I think.
Yeah.
We don't know how viable his candidacy actually is. Everything sounds great on paper. I would just add that, I mean, free education, free four-year university.
Can't go wrong there.
He wants to elevate the lower class and, you know, bring the disparity between them and the 1%, you know, a little bit closer in the gap. I would say he is a power not to be underestimated.
Yeah, definitely. Especially nowadays, when it comes to politics, you know, people always said follow the money, but you can't really underestimate somebody with a real wholehearted agenda. He's actually really trying to help us, help the middle class.
That's true. He's a man of the people.
He's a man of the people. He's a badass left-winger, if you want to call him that. He is running independently, but he's is going to try to get the Democratic seat.
Right.
Am I right? Yeah.
The thing is, and not most people know this, he was actually a folk singer.
Oh, there you go.
Interesting guy. But he's yeah.
I guess probably one of the biggest questions, though, for Bernie is his electability. You know, how electable really is he? A lot of people may have not heard of him. He's not the big name that the Clintons are, that all these people are,
or the Jeb Bushes of the world.
Jeb Bushes of the world. But honestly, the things I have heard of Sanders, it's just, you know, top notch. He's a G when it comes to town hall meetings,
That's right.
Public speaking, people to people, you know, election interaction. So he's got that under his belt. He's a G when it comes to that.
That's true. I mean, like I said, he's a candidate for the people. Him and Elizabeth Warren are great voices. And you watch any of the interviews that he's in, any of the public events that he holds, and you can just see that he genuinely cares about people. He genuinely wants to make things better. And the thing is that Fox and other news agencies, they always kind of counter him with these dumb questions. And you see any of those interviews, be it Wolf Blitzer, be it him on Fox, he will answer it to a T. He won't dance around it like every other.
It's about time we see an honest answer, you know.
Why are you running for president?
Judy, I'm running for president because, in my view, this country today, our country, faces more serious problems than in any time since the Great Depression. Millions of people are working longer hours for lower wages. And at the same time, we have seen a huge shift of wealth to the top 1/10 of 1%. So today, 99% of all new income is going to the top 1%. The top 1/10 of 1% owns almost as much wealth as the bottom 90%.
We have to remember, and hopefully we can get to a point in this country where we can consider other candidates not just, you know, Democrat or Republican. This two-party system has just failed us so far.
It's failed us. And
it's not getting any, it will get better. I mean, there are good things happening right now, like Obama's demilitarization of the police, you know, Bernie talking about a free four-year university. And before you go knocking it, and there have been a lot of attacks as far as how we're going to pay for this.
There's always attacks, though.
Yeah. How are we going to pay for it? Well, he went on to explain with Wolf Blitzer, and it sounds so damn reasonable. You know, when I tell you guys, hopefully, it seems unrealistic to some people, but we can figure it out if we put our heads together. And that's what I think he wants. A bipartisan effort, you know?
He sees
both
the
sides.
solution in everything.
Okay, so this is how it's going to work. 67% of the tuition for these four-year universities is going to be paid for on the federal level, where the remainder will be paid by the state. And how are they going to do this? They're going to put a 50-cent tax on every $100 on Wall Street speculation.
That's from Wall Street.
You have to remember that these are billion-dollar transactions.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like we're a third world country where we can't afford this kind of stuff.
Yeah, these are fat cats with hedge funds, and you know.
We should be moving forward as a nation. We shouldn't be lagging. And, you know, if we are the richest nation in the world, which we still have an economy twice the size of China's, apparently. I saw it on a Young Turks broadcast. And you know what? They're true. I think it was Jimmy Dore who said it.
Yeah, we got it going on still. And I think it's progressive thinkers like Sanders and like Warren that this generation needs, you know, as bad as any other generation.
Yes. No, I mean, and we gotta get these people a voice. You know, and he's always getting shut down with questions about Hillary and, oh, how are the Republicans going to take it? And I loved one rebuttal that he had. You know, Wolf Blitzer asked him, oh, so how do you think the Republicans will take the free four-year universities? Of course, I'm paraphrasing. But he said, Bernie Sanders said, you know, oh, no way they're going to pass it. I don't expect it to pass it by tomorrow, but we have to get the people behind it.
Exactly.
And it's that kind of thinking that we got to promote. So, moving on to our next story.
Good luck, Bernie.
Yeah, good luck, Bernie. Go, Bernie, go. And I strongly recommend you guys check out some videos. He's a straight shooter.
So remember, election weekend at Bernie's.
Weekend at Bernie's. Very nice pun.
Yeah, you know.
Unification. One other thing we got to consider. So, before we leave you, we're going to talk about one last thing, and this is kind of a surprise to Beto, but it's a surprise to us all. So, our station of Access Tucson will be closing.
That's right.
And even though this is our first broadcast, and it's been a lot of fun just working with the equipment, learning
so much, having the opportunity to just, you know, be hands-on with everything. It really gave us a great opportunity, even if it was for a little bit.
This may be our last broadcast with that station, but we're hoping that with you we'll grow. Maybe we'll get a second chance. Maybe we'll get some equipment. And we'll bring the stories back to you, Tucson. But
there's a will, there's a way. We got internet access. We got channels. We got everything. It's 2015. There are ways to get news to you guys.
There is.
Just remember our faces. We'll keep in touch with you guys. Don't worry. But definitely, thanks to all the great people at Access Tucson.
They've been great.
Yeah,
Lisa,
so
Vicky,
they do so
Eric.
much for everybody in the community. Think of all the countless people that would never have the opportunity to learn how to film, learn how to shoot, use, you know, set up the lighting equipment, edit. There's so many things that go into this, and who knows, countless people could have gone on to have great jobs in the industry because of it.
Exactly, and it's a creative outlet. You know, you want to stimulate our community, but the city's just cut its funding to the bone.
Yeah.
I mean, they need $500,000 to stay afloat, and you can't raise that in a week. And what will happen as far as the station is concerned, that's up in the air as well. Another buyer might come in, buy out the actual station and equipment, and try and make something of it, but it won't be the type of public access that it used to. And we're hoping, you know, as a city, maybe you guys can go. There will be a meeting in June, early week of June. We'll post it in any of the links that we have. I believe it's June 9th, but I could be mistaken. If you could go, if you could just say, hey, give us, give us access.
Give me access, man. Hashtag it. So yeah, definitely, guys, thank you for watching, and thank Access Tucson for everything, for the opportunity to be able to shoot. So definitely.
Once again, I'm SJ Barajas.
Once again, I'm Beto Hoyos.
And we're two Renegade journalists hoping to bring you some Renegade news.
Just trying to give voice to the voiceless, guys. Once again, thanks.
We will bring you, in the future, hopefully,
we'll see you. It's
the stories that networks can't with the commentary that they just won't. So, until next time, you guys stay Renegades too. Always seek the truth, and don't be dumb. You guys are... If you guys are watching us now, you're
smart. You're intelligent people.
There's some form of intelligence there.
Yeah, guys, you're like me and Seb right here.
So, thanks again, and
behave. If not, invite me.